hope you are enjoying and getting value out of this amazing summit. My name is Jonathan Schechter, and I'm a breathwork facilitator and integration coach specializing in teaching people how to use their breath to step into their power, connect to their purpose, and transform their life. This mini workshop is going to be on integration to embodiment, using a daily practice to connect to your highest self. And we're going to go over three things in this workshop. The first one is going to be why you should create a daily practice, what it's good for, and just why it's one of the best things that you can do if you are working with plant medicine and integration. The second thing is going to be a meditation that we'll do together and you can do on your own as many times as you'd like to connect to your potential and what areas of your life you want to embody. And if you're using plant medicine, you may already have some idea about this higher self that you want to embody. And this meditation is just going to bring in more clarity to that process. And then the third thing is I'm going to share some of the best ingredients to add to your daily practice recipe. You know, a daily practice is going to grow and change just as you grow and change, you know, through your integration, through your daily life. And there may be different seasons where you feel called to add in certain things or focus on different areas. But there are some core practices that you can always count on as a foundation, and we're going to get into those. So first things first, why should you create a daily practice? Okay, so if you're working with plant medicine, I think that this is an obvious answer, but let me get into it a little bit more. So you had a peak experience. Maybe you went to an ayahuasca ceremony, maybe you had a heroic mushroom dose, or some other type of a peak experience. Well, now what? What are you going to do with that? How are you going to use that experience? How are you going to bring it into your life so that you embody it? So that it's integrated into the rest of your life, so it doesn't just fade and become another, peak experience. Have you ever gone to an amusement park and been on a roller coaster? And maybe you had a really amazing time on that roller coaster. Well, the next day, do you remember it as vividly as when you got off? Do you still remember how it felt in your body? Try to think about it now. How connected are you to that peak experience and how it felt in your body? If we don't have a daily practice to help us integrate our plant medicine experiences, then no matter how amazing the experience or the vision that we got, it can end up fading over time. And so having a daily practice is one way to move through that. And really what we're doing here is we're balancing the masculine and the feminine. So with plant medicine, we're open, we're receiving. That's really the feminine energy. And we balance that out by taking action, by thinking and processing our experience, and then deciding to make changes in our life so that we can embody those changes, so that they don't just fade. And in that way, we're balancing out that masculine and feminine energy. It's just not enough to hope for change. It's not enough to say like, oh, I'm just going to let the medicine do this for me. I used to think that. And then I would, come out of like a ceremony and I would be full of love and light and full of these downloads, just like when I got off the roller coaster. And maybe I'd even like really, okay, I know I got a clear message from the medicine about what I need to change. Well, after a few weeks, that feeling would start to fade. And I really didn't know what to do to keep that from happening. And it happened repeatedly. And I would be in integration circles and I would hear similar stories from other people. Well, I'm going to do another ceremony because I'm back at the same sort of square one. Nothing really changed. So I say that it's not enough just to hope for change. It's up for it's up to you to create it. And this is one area that a coach can really help. It's similar to the paradox that we can't see our own eyes. It's hard to look objectively sometimes at ourselves. We all have blind spots. We have ways that our nervous system has adapted based on our experiences, the things that we haven't, quite processed yet, or the traumatic experiences that we had in childhood. And, the ego is so good at keeping us in this stable stasis. The ego doesn't like to rock the boat, even if it's something that's really good for us. So, oftentimes, in order to really bring a large amount of change into our life, we have to step out of our experiences to really see this. And this is one reason that plant medicine is so transformative. It allows you to step outside of yourself, outside of your ego, outside of your story. And plant medicines are non-specific amplifiers, according to Dr. Stan Groff, who created holotropic breathwork and facilitated thousands of LSD therapy sessions. And what's a non-specific amplifier? It means that they act as a catalyst and an amplifier to what's already in your psyche. So when you work with plant medicines, you get to touch the potential that's inside of you. Within that expanded state, you really get to feel and connect to it. It's not something that you wonder about. It's not something that you don't know is there because you connect to it within that expanded state of consciousness. So another way to say this is if something really wants to change, really needs to change in your life, whether you're conscious of it or not, whether it's in your subconscious, it will often come up during your work with plant medicine, during your journey. When I was starting to work with mushrooms, I continuously got these messages that I needed to stop drinking. And it wasn't until I got that message a few times that I actually started to wonder, how do I do that? So oftentimes when there's things that, are really calling, your soul is calling to change, your highest self knows that this change is good for you. They're just going to keep coming up until you get the message. You get a message, you get insights, you get downloads in your work. And then it's up to you to figure out how to process and integrate them. When you don't take action, when you just receive and just rely on the strength of the experience to help you, that just leads to you being in the same place. That leads to frustration. It might lead you back, repeated, sort of a revolving door of ceremony because you think that's the only solution. And it makes sense, right? You sit in ceremony or you have a plant medicine experience and you connect to that higher self. You connect to that change. You connect to a more expanded, more embodied version of yourself. And if that's the only experience that you have of connecting to that energy, it makes sense that you would just go back and keep looking for it in ceremony. once you have a few of these experiences, once you go through a few cycles of having the clarity and the insight, and then it fading and maybe feeling frustrated about that, and then, repeating that cycle, it can get frustrating. And you might be looking for a different way, a more sustainable way to connect and create that embodied version of yourself. Is this something that you can relate to? Because this is where a daily practice can really help. So let's not hope for change. Let's balance the feminine receiving with the masculine energy of taking action. And this is what manifestation is. You can't just read about push-ups and get stronger. On the other hand, you can't just go to the gym and do a little of this and a little of that and expect to get the best results. What manifestation really is the combination of intention with action plus belief. And if you're working with plant medicines, you already have that belief. You've already experienced it. What you need is a plan that you can measure and repeat until you get the results you're looking for. And that's what a daily practice is. And so this is the dance if you want change, if you want to embody your highest potential. You can't just say, oh, everything is perfect in this moment, even though from a certain perspective, it is. And you also can't be so focused and rigid in that masculine outcome, that outcome-driven energy, that you're not open to the magic of the world. Because as you work with plant medicine, as you change and transform, what you need is going to change. How you feel is going to change. What you practice is going to change. What you want to develop and bring in is going to change. And so it's a bit of a dance. It's a balance. It's also a paradox, And that's also one of the reasons that daily practice is so wonderful, is not only is it going to help you embody and bring in this version of yourself that is inside of you, it's also going to help you prepare and be as ready and as open and as regulated as possible to continue doing your work, so that the next time that you go back to ceremony, you will be open. You'll be able to continue to go deeper. There's a reason why people that are working with ayahuasca diet, why they do dieta. It's to prepare the vessel. It's to prepare your mind and your spirit. And a daily practice can be an extension of that. So, like I said, it's something that is fluid. It's something that you can grow and expand with. Because as you change your habits, as you make room through your work with plant medicine or other inner work that you're doing, it's going to naturally bring up more stuff for you to work on. I call that thawing out. So once I started to actually listen to that message of, hey, you need to stop drinking. Well, all the things that I was, pushing down or not looking at through my drinking started to come to the surface. And of course, since I was, sitting in ceremony, doing plant medicine work on my own as well, those things were definitely bubbling up, coming up to the surface, thawing out. And so having a daily practice helped me to be able to deal with those. It helped me to be able to work with what was coming up, to regulate my nervous system, to let go of these things inside of me that no longer serve me. And if we don't have those practices, if we don't change, then oftentimes we go right back to the old ways of self-soothing and regulating our nervous system. And that's what we're trying to avoid, right? We're here because you want to change. you're here in the summit, you're curious about these different workshops because you're interested in changing. So having a daily practice is something that will support that change and help you embody your highest self. So we're going to do that through manifestation, through embodiment, through intention. We're going to see that desired outcome and then adjust our actions as needed to bring it into this world, to create it. So in order to do that, in order to assist in that process, we're going to do a meditation now to help you clarify what this change looks like. And if you have any recent plant medicine experience that you're already working on integrating, don't worry, this will help bring you clarity on how to manifest it in this 3D timeline. So before you start this meditation, pause the video for a second, get a pen and paper, because you're going to write something down as soon as you're done. All right, so you got it. So take a seat where you can sit comfortably with your back straight, but not rigid. Go ahead and close your eyes. Hands can be in your lap or on your knees. And just to begin with, just taking a nice deep breath in and let it out with a sigh. And as you take a deep breath in, just feel your spine straightening and then letting it go slightly as you breathe out. And just take a couple of deep breaths like this to really arrive here. Just allowing yourself to connect with your breath. Placing your attention there. And if this is your first time meditating, or you're having trouble settling the mind, maybe it's challenging to place your attention and your awareness on your breath. If there's thoughts or emotions, things that are distracting you coming up, just acknowledge them. Let them be there. You can maybe say thought, labeling it, and then bring your attention back to the breath. Whenever you notice you become distracted, just labeling it, and then bringing your focus back to the breath. And now, I invite you to see yourself walking down a hallway. And at the end of this hallway is a door. So see yourself walking down the hallway and arriving at this door. And now reaching out and opening the door and stepping through into the room on the other side. And in this room, standing in front of you, you see yourself 1 year in the future. So take a moment and just look at this future version of yourself. What are they wearing? What are they doing? How do they look? How's their breath? How's their posture? And allow yourself to walk around them, just fully taking this in, fully absorbing all the details of this future version of yourself. And now I invite you to walk behind them. And in the back of their head, you see a zipper. And I invite you to grab that zipper and pull it down. And then step inside of yourself. Step in to this future version of yourself. And now taking another deep breath in and out. Breathing in and out. And breathing as this version of yourself 1 year in the future. What do you see through their eyes? What emotions do you feel? How's your breath? Is it relaxed? Is it any different from your breath before you stepped inside of this future version? What are the emotions that you feel? What are the things that you're working on? Now I invite you to grab that zipper and zip up so that you are inside of this future version of yourself. You've merged with this version. And we're going to do a few rounds of coherence breathing. Breathing in for a count of 4 and out for a count of 4. And with each breath, you're going to become more merged, more integrated with this version of yourself. I'm going to take 5 breaths like this. And at the end of 5 breaths, you're going to be completely merged with this version of your future self. So breathing in through the nose, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. And now open your eyes, seeing yourself connected, merged with this future version of your embodied highest self. And I want you to write down all the details that you observed, what you looked like, what you were breathing like, what the emotional state was, what you were working on, what you were feeling. Take a moment to do that. You can pause the video if you'd like. Now, what are 3 things that you can do right now to become this future version of yourself? Don't think about this too much. Just write down the first 3 things that come to mind. Whatever these 3 things are things that you can bring in to your daily practice. This future version of you is you. It is attainable. It's not so far away. That's why during the meditation, you connect to a version of yourself that's only a year in the future. You know, Tony Robbins said that we overestimate what we can accomplish in a short period of time, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in a long period of time. And a year isn't so long. It might seem like far away. You know, if you've ever started a workout routine or a meditation practice, it can seem overwhelming to begin with. But a year passes by like that. So based on your meditation, you may have a really clear idea of what your daily practice should look like. But it's possible that you don't, because if you had that clarity, you would already be doing it, right? It's kind of like saying everybody knows that exercise is good for them. Well, how come we're not all in great shape? How come we're not all exercising? It's not enough to just know it. We actually have to put it into practice. So these are the ingredients that I'd recommend adding to your practice recipe. You can add the main ingredients and then season it as you'd like with the things that work for you. You know, this isn't a one-size-fit-all process. Everybody's daily practice is going to look a little bit different. But some of the things that I share with you are basically like best practices, you know, and I'm not the only one talking about this. You know, if you look up many, many successful people, they have daily practices. And the best time to work on that is first thing in the morning when you get up. Don't let yourself get distracted. Don't let yourself get pulled into something. Just focus on yourself first And then that will create momentum and energy that will carry you into the rest of your day. So let's talk about those best practices. Let's talk about those main ingredients. So grab your pen again and write these down. So the first thing that I recommend to everyone for their daily practice is mindfulness practice. Mindfulness meditation is one of the best things that you can do, especially if you're working with plant medicine. You're going to gain concentration. You're going to gain clarity. You're going to gain equanimity. These are all really important things to have when you're working with plant medicine. And they're going to have other effects in your life as well. One of the things that's going to happen is you're going to start to build somatic awareness as well. The longer you start to habituate yourself to being present, it's not only your thoughts that you're going to notice, you're also going to start to notice sensations in the body, cues about how your nervous system is feeling. And as you practice, you're also going to habituate becoming the witness, detaching yourself from your story. And these are very valuable practices to have when you're working with plant medicine. So it's something I recommend to everyone. The next thing is some sort of physical movement, some sort of practice of yoga or exercise. And this is going to help you manage stress and feel good, be healthy. And it's also going to help you learn how to stay in your body. It's also a way of, blowing off extra energy, so you're helping your nervous system. So some sort of movement practice. Doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be all day. You don't have to be in the gym for 2 hours a day or be doing CrossFit, but something where you're getting your body moving, where you're connecting to your body. Really important. The next ingredient is breath work. And I would say that there's two different aspects to this. The first one is some sort of functional breathwork practice, like the heart coherence breathing that we did during the meditation. Or if you've already grabbed my free guide that you got through this summit, and go back to the summit page and sign up for that free guide, there's a bunch of different functional breathwork practices that you can do within there. Functional breath work is breathing to regulate your nervous system. You're creating intentional changes in your nervous system. So the more regulated you are, the better off your daily life is going to be. It's also going to help you when you're working in ceremony, when you're working with plant medicine. You can't really stay present and get the full therapeutic benefit of the medicine if you're not in a regulated state. So that's something that I recommend daily. And then I would also add to your practice 1 to 4 times a month, depending on where you're at and how much you connect to it, a transformational type of breath work. Holotropic breath work, somatic release breath work, or neurodynamic breath work like I facilitate. I do a couple of different sessions online each month. I also work with private clients. But this is a way to develop that expanded state of consciousness. It's a way to continue to release emotional and somatic gunk, to purge in the same way that you purge when you work with different medicine. And it's also a way to connect to your purpose. So one of the things that I love about breathwork and why I'm so passionate about it is when I started doing it on a regular basis, it was like, oh yeah, this is just like being in the ceremony space. This is like being in the medicine space. I know what this is like. Yeah. The next thing is a resilience practice. So cold showers are a wonderful way to start. Ice baths, if you have access to a sauna. Basically, you want to do something that is manageably uncomfortable. And that's going to help build your nervous system resilience. So, again, going back to the benefit of having a resilient nervous system when you're doing plant medicine. Having some sort of therapy, working with some sort of therapist is another best practice, especially somatic types of therapy. And a coach can also be very, very helpful in this area. But I recommend working with a coach and a therapist. Having some sort of spiritual practice. And I'm not going to tell you what that looks like. That's up to you to develop for yourself. But having something where you're able to connect with spirit, where you're able to step outside of yourself and connect with something that's bigger than yourself. Some sort of reparenting practice. If you're familiar with the holistic psychologist work, inner child work, something where you're helping yourself to step outside and reprogram those stories that you've been carrying around for most of your life. And that is something, IFS is another one, internal family systems. These are all things that, plant medicine is so good at supporting. The next thing is a concentration or contemplation practice. So the most common one is journaling. Daily journaling can change your life. It can help you with your gratitude. It can help you get clarity about what you're working on, help you to continue to process things. It's just such an important thing. Now, the next thing is having a diet. And this can be what you eat, but it's not just what you eat. Your diet is everything that you're consuming. So eating healthy food and, also consuming healthy media. What's the music that you're listening to? What are the movies that you're watching? How much time are you spending on social media or consuming entertainment, consuming media? All that is a part of your diet. And doing an audit of this and creating a plan to, kind of clean up that diet is one of the things that I work with my coaching clients with. And the last thing I want to mention is a time management aspect of your practice. And what that can look like is boundaries to help you move towards your goals. So same thing with the diet. Like, it might be okay for you to have a drink once a week or every once in a while. Maybe not every day. So a very common one that I practice myself and I recommend to other people is time management around your phone. So I don't use my phone for the first 2 hours of the day when I get up. You can also put limits on TV or media that you're consuming. But having these boundaries is really, really important. And I found that keeping my phone off for the first couple of hours has transformed my life. It also goes with the resilience practice because there's going to be parts of transformation that aren't comfortable, where you're going to have to stretch. So developing discipline is a part of that, giving up something so that you can make space and room for what you want to call in. So those are some of the best practices for creating a daily practice. And obviously it's something that you can work with, something that, is individual, and you might find some things that resonate immediately. It might be things that you kind of grow into. And the things that came up in your meditation are also aspects that you can add that will be unique to yourself. So I hope that you enjoyed this workshop. If you'd like to explore this further, I invite you to book a discovery call with me. Having a daily practice is something that's very important to my own growth and my own spiritual journey. It's also something that I work on in my 6-month coaching container, is helping you create a daily practice that supports the growth and goals that you would like to get. And if you're interested in learning more about breath work or other types of meditation, that's also something that I work on with my clients, as well as hosting regular sessions. So if any of this resonated to you, I'd love to hear from you, love to get in touch. And I hope that this workshop brings you much, much benefit and clarity on your journey. Take care, my friends.